Absolute Superman reveals just what happened to Krypton with issue 5. And I got to say, issue 5, yeah. Another banger. But how does the rest of this week's stack hold up? We're going to talk about that on this week's edition of Pals Pulls. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We've got Cale.
What's up, hot dogs?
We've got Tyler.
Not nearly as fibrous as Cale.
And I'm Sean. Thank you for joining us, whether you are live or in the future. Smash that like button.
Smash!
If you are ready to hear us talk some comics and you're ready to leave some comments about comics in the chat, let's get it.
Oh, well, we need to hang on just a second. Scripture's still trying to get through the issue.
Okay, cool.
Absolute Superman. So
let's just be quiet real quick for a couple minutes.
Vamp just a second. Yeah.
No, not even. You can't read their sound. What is this, a podcast? We can just be quiet, right?
Great.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We got to be polite, of course.
Cale, you're rooting.
All right. Absolute Superman, number 5. This is written by Jason Aaron with art by Rafa Sandoval. We've also got Ulysses Sariola on colors, letters by Becca Carey. And there was a really tremendous issue 3 of Absolute Superman that I still feel like is the best issue of the Absolute series overall to this point. And then issue 4 went back to what's been going on with the Peacemaker stuff. But issue 5 puts the spotlight back on the flashback to Cal's childhood and what happened with Krypton and stuff like that. This isn't the end of that origin. I think there might still be. I definitely think there are still pieces to show us, but this issue gets us his last time on Krypton. What'd you guys think about this issue of Absolute Superman?
I thought this issue was damn good. Jason Aaron continuing to do some really damn good work. And with issue 5, it's much more akin to issue 3 for me and what it actually does. And it really just blows up the idea of what happened with Krypton, pun unintended there, but what happens with Krypton, and it's again doing real subtle changes to the tried and true formula that is the origin of Superman, and making it modern and making it more action packed, making it more sad, honestly, through this. Because can we spoil what happened, Sean, or are we cool with that?
I mean, yeah, it's a spoiler show.
All right, okay.
Well, and the origin is 100 years old at this point.
I guess so, yeah. But the subtle twist being that it wasn't just supposed to be Clark, or Kal-El that escapes Krypton and is saved. It's supposed to be so many people, and based on this issue, all of them slowly die as they're escaping at Krypton, and Kal-El is the only one left with Krypto. And we don't know if his parents made it out. We don't know anything. There's a big question mark involved there, but just seeing his reaction to having to, leave people behind, come to terms with that, and then those people that even get to go with him are slowly dying because the planet's literally exploding. It was rough. Rough in a good way. I felt the emotional weight of this origin to Kal-El probably more than I ever did for the actual Kryptons, like the original story, because it was just something I didn't read at the time. Reading this in real time hit me, and I thought it was really, really damn good.
Yeah, I thought this was good. I think issue 3 must have been while I was gone. And I don't care enough about this title to go back. So I think if that was my hook, I've lost it. Not that any of this wasn't good. It just I don't think it affected me the way it sounds like it. Well, it at least affected Tyler. We'll hear what you think in a second, Sean. But yeah, I guess one thing I'm interested in is I think there is a lot of potential here for survivors. And I think that could be a really interesting twist for Cal at this point.
Yeah, and we've seen Brainiac is already, playing behind the scenes on Earth, and I wonder. I don't know if it's been explicitly stated. I really can't remember issue 3 if Brainiac was on Krypton, but if that is the trajectory, that could be very interesting as well. That Brainiac had a hand in destroying Krypton, was one of the escapees, somehow the AI made it to Earth and is now doing the same thing on Earth. That could be interesting.
Brainiac was never on Krypton, though, was he?
You
That we
mean
know of?
like in comics,
No,
like
no, no. In,
like
in this
mainline?
in this version. So
Well,
like,
that's what I just said. I
yeah,
don't know if they ever explicitly stated that Brainiac was on Krypton. If that were to be the
sure.
case, then that could be interesting.
Like we knew Kandor was part of the world already at this point, and it presumably got destroyed because they talked about explosions happening in Kandor. So yeah, I'm unsure.
Um, yeah, I mean, again, this issue really largely continues that awesome origin, and we're watching Krypton fall apart, and you really get a feel once again for the relationship that Clark's parents have with each other, with Krypton, with their son. This is something that has always been pretty absent when it comes to mainline. These are not fully fleshed out characters, especially not Laura. You see more of Jor-El, and his personality's all over the place anyway. But the mother you never really see. So the fact that she gets to be center stage here is great. And I also love the fact that in another twist on mainline, their goal wasn't just to save themselves, it was to save as many people as they could, like an arc situation. And it just doesn't go the way they wanted.
And that means that savior mentality or that savior urge to help people is ingrained in Kal-El
Yeah,
from the inception of the character.
absolutely.
It shows more than like just the sort of freedom fighter guerrilla warfare that he was doing in the first issue, and when we first kind of come across him. This really shows that he's got you know his parents sort of um uh
It's like a worldview. He's a product
yeah,
of that
the
upbringing.
product of that upbringing, and he knows to fight for it and how to fight for it, but also with this massive loss and this massive example of being able to help these people and actually help these people and then fail. It teaches him how important what he's doing is.
And I got to imagine for Kal-El, like the fact that it didn't work, or at least it looks like it didn't work out for his parents, and ultimately it probably was a failure. I'm sure there's some people that survived, but not wanting to repeat those mistakes on Earth, even as like it's his family's legacy to not repeat those, to fix those mistakes, gives him a reason to want to save Earth.
That was one of the biggest questions that I had about this series in the first couple of issues was like, well, why does this version of Cal care about Earth? Like in the original comics, it's because of his found parents, Ma and Pa, Kent, and they teach him, you know, um, how to be a good person. What's his tether to Earth here? And it's not so much at the current moment, we don't know everything, but it's not so much that he has a tether to Earth, it's that he has a tether to their plight. He can see, because
Yeah.
he's lived through it already, what what road these people are on, and he can't live through that again. So it's almost it's almost like a selfish kind of drive that he has to protect these people. He doesn't want to go through this again. He doesn't want to be like this. This panel here really, really hit me, and I think it's one of the best panels in the book. It's this one where you can see him like crying and struggling inside his pod while he's watching everybody around him, all this chaos in space, and his mother and father can't help him. You know, he doesn't want that experience again.
And it being different than the original origin, he's awake, he is conscious, he knows what's happening around him. He's not just a baby in a bassinet that's being shot into hyperspace. He sees all of it. So this is a Cale that has a lot of trauma, probably, and I think that's compelling. Because I think one of the questions that always comes up with Superman is like, oh, why does he care about Earth? He's not from here, and like that's sometimes the text of the story too. When like Lex is involved, there's a clear reasoning now, and there's that opening the opening pages where they talk about the history of Krypton. It's like a couple billion years old, and it only took 100 million for the people to ruin it. And it's like, okay, that sounds familiar. And I like that almost real world parallel that we see there. Krypton, I don't know if global warming wasn't a known thing when the original origin of Superman happened, right? At least maybe
Who
not
could say?
globally.
Yeah.
But that idea being very pertinent in present day, like, oh, the people who are living on the planet are the ones destroying it, also kind of adds a humanity to Superman, just from a modern context, that I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it's just everything to me is working so well in this, and when you juxtapose watching him, agonize over these people dying and what they're going through, and then the very few present day pages that we do get where he's struggling, Cal is, with his anger about what the Peacemaker did in the last issue where he killed, they say the number, I forget what it is, but he killed dozens of people. We watched him mow
23, I
them down.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is something that Cal recognizes as, if I get my hands on this guy, I'm going to contribute to that death toll. And I don't want to do that. So I need to find a way to recenter myself. And part of that, what appears to be part of that recentering, is to go home, right? It's to go to back to Kansas. And what I thought was interesting is that if you look at the first issue of Absolute Superman, if you can think of that cover where he's walking in the fields, it looks like the opposite perspective of this page.
It's a dark version of it, literally.
Yeah.
It's in the dark. He was, I think, on that first cover, he's backlit, so he's walking from the light.
Yep.
And it's it's good. That's a good shout. Yeah. I also like how we know more now about the dust too, and that's powering his suit. Really, his suit is the ship.
Yeah.
And his suit was theoretically also is also aware of Krypton's demise and all of that. In fact, the dust that makes his cape is literally the ashes of Krypton.
Sick.
Which is like, that's some Spawn ass shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like early Image, which that's not a knock at all.
I'm draped in the pain of my lost planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this was really, really, really good. Like, I don't know if I'm saying pick of the week on this yet, but man, this book was great, I thought.
This was a week where I flip-flopped between 3 books for pick of the week. That's just to tell you what this week was like for me.
Yeah.
So it was it's interesting. And just to shout out the Sandoval art. It's wild that he was like second choice for this. Like, maybe not second choice, but he was not the original artist supposed to be on Absolute Superman. It was Albuquerque. And the fact that, like, I can't imagine this book not being by him. Like, there's that bit where Superman breaks into that the compound or whatever with all the Peacemakers, and he's just like literally like melting their armor and faces, just out of sheer anger. And the way that like he draws like the heat effect, like it's not typical lasers like you're used to in the comics. It literally feels like, I don't know, you're like in one of those like I don't know, like reptile cages with the red lights. You know, like it felt like a red light like that, just warming everything up. And I thought that was an interesting take on it, a more realistic take on what it could be too. But yeah, the art in this was great.
Yeah, I agree. Rafa Sandoval has been knocking it out of the park. And you know, I really want to shout out the colors. Ariola's doing a tremendous job. I love the clash of the green and red, which is a consistent motif throughout Superman's history, but it takes on a new life here in Absolute because you've got the suit, you've got the dust, you've got Krypton's explosion and the gas. So and green obviously representing kryptonite as well. So it's like this color clash that's really cool to watch play out. Um, just a beautiful comic overall. Easy pull, easy pull. This is very close to pick of the week for me.
This is an easy pull for me too. Cole said, "Did anyone catch the blonde woman holding a baby during the crash sequence? Supergirl. I thought there was a girl that he was talking to
That-
in the ship
what I
that
was
looked like
figuring,
it
yeah.
could be Supergirl too."
Pull for me. Yeah.
It's a green flag, just like the Krypton explosion. I mean, I guess that's not a green flag, but
Triggered.
Let's see what the audience says. We'll close the poll out. We put a poll up every single book we review for you guys to give your take as well, so we can kind of take your poll, so to speak. 45% of you said pull on Absolute Superman #5. Pick of the week is 33%. So that's 78% of you passing this book forward and vouching for its quality overall. 19% didn't buy or read, and pass is only 2%. So that's a tremendous rate for Absolute Superman. I got it. I mean, this has to be the most impressive Absolute book from the perspective of what people thought they would be getting versus what we are actually
Sure.
getting.
I was a little worried about like, oh, all right, this could have just been main continuity by this creative team that I'm used to, but they're really stepping up their game and it feels different.
Yeah.
This is
Matt
actually,
Fisher.
yeah,
Oh,
I was
sorry.
I was gonna say Matt Fisher 199. He said he hit the wrong one. This would have been his pick of the week as well. So YouTube's got to they got to find a way to let people fix their votes. People are a little trigger happy sometimes.
Matt Fisher in particular.
Well, he was trigger happy with another super chat and said, "Going on the record, Brainiac is Lex."
Okay.
Just like Joker's the billionaire.
I don't. Superman's Rogues Gallery needs those two separate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lex needs to be
In a compacted universe? I don't know.
but Lex needs to be a human, you know? That's part of his
Why?
core.
If he's as smart as he is supposed to be, where does that come from?
An abusive childhood. Just like every other.
Well, then I would be a
superhero.
super genius. Oh
I
wait,
think you're you got a great mind, Cal.
Matt Fisher, by the way, I did see your super chat during Solomonster the other night that simply said, "Hi, Sean." I did see that.
damn.
Matt Fisher is the ultimate troll, I have to say.
Did Solomonster then call that out, confused?
Yes, he said, "I don't know who that is, but thanks for the super chat."
That's some next level shit. I dig that.
You're donating to another podcaster to get my attention. That is just layers upon layers, Matt. I love it.
At least you like that podcaster, so that works out.
He's the best one on the planet. Hayden's Hideout with a 5 spot. Hey, pals, my pick of the week is Batman Dark Patterns #4. Hayden Sherman continues to show off their awesome layouts and artwork in this issue. Wow, Hayden. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and I could not agree with you more.
Yeah.
Who wants to get to Hayden's other super chat to talk about Hayden's Gooner pick of the week? I guess I'll go for it. Gooner pick of the week is Iron Man #6, Elizabeth Torque Invisible variant. Why did Susan do that to Tony? And when will do that to Tony? And when will she do that to Thanos? So the cover is they have a couple of invisible exclamation point variants right now, where Invisible Woman is on the cover doing some shenanigans, and this one she just invisibles Tony's armor and he's there in his undies. So
You know, Hayden, I was looking forward to whatever you would choose as the Gooner pick of the week this week, and you really let me down, bro.
I'm equal opportunity gooning here. Come on.
It's just not. It's
It's not your
not
vibe.
really hot. I'm all
Well,
look. I'm for equal opportunity gooning. I'm not gonna turn down a Nightwing cover or a Superman or whatever. This just is like, it's Tony Stark. He's in his underwear. Didn't do it for me.
all right.
Yeah.
Not
Go ahead.
not into billionaires. That's what it is.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no, I agree. I'm with that.
TFB TJ with an interesting thought. I think Soul is what Ultron or Brainiac it was before this message. Okay, I think Soul is what Ultron, Brainiac, what's the AI before Vision got a body. That sentence made my brain hurt, but I think what TFB is suggesting is that Ultron is the daddy. So Ultron is in this case Brainiac, which is the overseer AI with no body, and then Soul is like the good version of that, which is what Vision is in Marvel. I think that's what TFB is suggesting.
Okay, I got there eventually. I picked it up.
I could see that because Soul would also have to keep that connection going. Soul would also have that trauma experience alongside Cal to sort of encourage him along and help him along in the way that the supercomputer can or whatever.
I will say it's hard not saying Clark.
Yeah, that's
My gut
cut
keeps
me
wanting
every
to go
single
there.
time too.
Yeah, he's just straight up not Clark. That's weird.
Yeah.
Or at least he hasn't been referred to that way. I guess we'll see what happens in Smallville. Entertain Me is a member of the channel for 1 month at the Sidekick tier. Thank you for your take on comics and entertainment. Thank you, Entertain Me, for being entertained by us. I guess we fulfilled your name. We fulfilled your namesake.
Sure, trying. Marco mixing in the dipping into the pot here. His pick of the week is the facsimile edition of Swamp Thing number 37. Yuck.
Marco, you can't just show up without any.
Use our credit card.
That, oh my God. That better be your fucking credit card, Marco. What are we, money laundering here?
I guess so.
Hayden's Hideout with a 5 spot. You guys are being generous early today. Thank you so much. Fine, Sean. Honorable mention, Lady Death, Eternal Sabbath, Mike Chrome, Naughty Variant. All right, Hayden. Since you came correct, let's have a look.
I don't have time to look at all this stuff.
That one's literally censored.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So.
Sense. Well, listen. Okay. All right. Well, I have an imagination, so I can figure out what's behind the censors there. I thought there was a better one. Didn't we talk about one on Pal's previews?
Oh yeah, we talked about it. I brought up Lady Death just to debate people. Oh, wrong term.
I like cover B more. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Thank you,
I'll
Hayden.
take cover
you.
double T.
Oh my God, you are the authority, Hayden, on the Gooner picks. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you smash that like button if you're enjoying the show so far. We've got a lot more books to talk about today. I do want to make sure you guys are aware that this Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, as we are every Saturday at the same time, we will be live, and we're going to be talking about the big explosion that happened this week, a bomb set off by Dustin Nguyen that brought a lot of creators out of the woodwork to shit on the big two and to shit on comics for a lot of good reasons. And we're going to talk about all those reasons. Creators are speaking out once again. We are going to be there to cover all of that this Saturday, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. Also want to mention patreon.com/thecomicspals. Everybody's support over there means the world to us. We appreciate you so much. We've got a couple of origins yet to do. I think we've got 3 we're back up on, so that's great news on our side of things. And we appreciate everybody who goes over there and supports us on that side of our operation. Let's talk about Aquaman. Aquaman at number 3. This was a double Jeremy Adams week because we got this, and then of course we have Green Lantern as well. This is written by Jeremy Adams, John Timms on the art, Rex Locus on the colors, Dave Sharp on the letters. What is the origin of the universe, you ask? Well, Jeremy Adams is here to tell you, just like a lot of other DC comics are here to tell you how things got going. And just like it's not interesting almost every other time, I was not interested in this. Yeah, I was a little bored. I gotta be honest. What'd you guys think of this one?
I'm still surprised that some of the forward momentum for the whole dark side of it all with the DC universe is happening in an Aquaman book. Even though we don't really see all the pieces here, but there is some allusions to it here. I mean, look at the cover. He's got the Omega symbol in his eyeballs. So that's interesting. I think it's a fine Aquaman story. I think I enjoy the tying of Aquaman into like bigger DC Universal mythos lore stuff. You know, there's that bit where Orion is, talking about, like the blue and how it's this life force that runs throughout the universe. And then he mentions, like there's multiple life forces there. Some people put them in objects, and it shows the Green Lantern battery. Some people put them in people, and then that's the Swamp Thing with the green. And I thought that was a good way of like just building up what the blue is, especially for somebody who might not be too in tune with some of these DC terminology things. I thought it was good. I thought the art was good, and I also didn't like it at some points. I was kind of back and forth on the art. It's John Timms on art, and I liked the character work, and I liked the bits where he kind of had some room to play. But I felt with this issue specifically, it felt like I was in a cutscene for a video game, and a lot of the stuff didn't render. It felt empty a lot of the time. There's those bits where I don't know her name, but Orion and the woman are building this
Vivian.
Vivian, yes, they're building whatever they're going to build for Aquaman, and it's this giant wasteland. I think the character work is great, but this issue specifically felt a little sparse, especially in that scene. It was just a big old crater. It teased me towards the end there with a giant lionfish pirate ship, and I'm like, all right, cool, I want more of that. That's gonna be fun. But I don't know. I was kind of wishy-washy on the art.
That's crazy because I'm going over all of the pages and they're absolutely crammed full of.
I could be totally wrong and just
everything.
going off my memory.
This is the kind of stuff that I normally enjoy. But I think the thing is that I'm not following Aquaman, and so I don't know the Swamp Thing lore with the green, and I'm familiar with the Green Lantern of it all, so I have the basis of the universal stuff there, but then just having someone else explain all of that was a bit much. Granted, it is issue 3, but this is actually where I kind of want to see Aquaman. It feels too on the nose to have him doing underwater stuff. I really like him in the magic realm doing, King Arthur shit. I think that's really, really cool. And that's what really drew me into this when I saw that Merlin Jr. here. When I saw him and what they were doing there. But it's issue 3, so what am I supposed to do here? I really like the art. I felt like this guy is in that sort of Jorge Jimenez camp of stuff that feels kinetic and feels cool. So I had an absolute blast with the art.
I don't know if you got to it, Kel, but issue 2 is probably right down your alley then. A lot of magic, a lot
I
of
didn't.
yeah. There's some blood bending in it, which is
Okay.
yeah, because Aquaman has aquakinesis. What's in water? What's in blood? Water, apparently. Um, so yeah. I mean, I'm still positive on the book, and I'm still gonna read
Yeah.
it, and I'm still interested to see where it goes. But this issue in a vacuum, I like less than 2 and 1.
I definitely didn't like this as much as the first two issues. I thought everybody's work was lesser. John Timms is a great artist, but his faces in this issue are just dead and lifeless. And that was really bothering me throughout. Like they just they look like statues of people that are making faces, but they don't look like people making faces. Like what I don't like I really stared at this face and I'm like, what is this expression? It's just dead and lifeless. And I felt that way a lot of times throughout this book. Um, from a storytelling standpoint, though, I enjoy the trappings. I like what is happening. I just didn't like the way it was presented. Up until Aquaman got stabbed by Lori, I was just like, what are we doing here? Who cares? There's always these things that play behind the scenes, and there's just so many books doing that right now. Um, but I like where this issue ends up, and it seems like it's going to take Aquaman to a more interesting place. So that I'm on the hook for.
I will say, you give me some hot mermaids, I'm pretty much sold. So,
Sexy sirens, as it were.
ooh, good alliteration there. Very DC of you.
I think some of the problem with this type of thing is this would be really good in the trade. But having to wait a month for this is rough.
I could see that, especially
Yeah,
if it becomes like like you said, like a King Arthur esque epic.
Well, and not even that, just like going from, whatever issues 1 and 2, which, for the most part, it sounds like you guys and everybody else really liked. And then you get a great big info dump page,
Yeah,
pages, and that's your issue for the month. It's just like, come on.
yeah. 2 was really good because it was almost a one and done. It had
Yeah.
one antagonist, and we're in it, and then we're out by the end in a way. Um, so this one, I guess, had. I mean, that's just the problem with monthly comics. There will be the expository issue. You got to tell it somewhere, and that takes
Yeah.
some pages. So, I'm still confident I will like issue 4 though.
pull, but it's definitely half-hearted. In light of what we've been getting, I think they'll take it up a notch with four, but this was definitely a disappointment for me.
It's a pull for me. I will say that I'm on the hook for it.
It's Aquaman and it's issue 3. I'm not picking this up.
You
Are you
just
kidding?
seemed like you liked it.
I did.
I was hoping you would
Fair
follow up
enough.
with a fish pun too, but guess that idea
It
flopped.
didn't reel me in.
There we go.
51% of you say pull. 30% of you said didn't buy or read. Pass is 15%, and pick of the week is 3%. So you guys are still enjoying the book as well, and you have every reason to. I think Aquaman is a solid book, even if this issue didn't light all of us on fire.
And we went what 2 years without an Aquaman book? Year and a half.
Two,
There was a while that we didn't have Aquaman, right?
more than two.
Was it more than two? It's we're getting into COVID years. I don't blank
We
spot
haven't
for
had
me.
an Aquaman series in a very long time.
It's true.
Very long time.
So I guess people, the Aquaman fans are thirsty for a book, and this is it.
Indeed, indeed. Super Chicken says, I'm loving Aquaman a lot, but this was my least favorite issue so far. Still excited to see where it goes. I think that's where we're all kind of at. I see a lot of you in the chat saying the same thing, that this was just
Yeah.
not, this issue was just sort of filler, sort of mid, in an otherwise really good run.
Yeah, Dan says there are too many DC stories about expanding mythos. I'd be interested in a straight up underwater fantasy adventure story.
And I feel like all the previous Aquaman runs from Jeff Johns forward tried doing that. So I can see the benefit of somebody just trying something different. How many more Atlantean war infighting are we going to have to deal with? So this is at least taking us away from that.
Jeff Johns forward. How many runs do we even get after Jeff Johns?
You got Jeff Parker's. You got, that was like Paul Pelletier on it.
Yeah.
Kelly Sue did one.
Kelly Sue, yeah. There was one between Jeff Parker and, oof. Parker's my favorite, honestly. I think this stuff's really good. But yeah, there's at least 2 more.
World at War Comics says Jeremy Adams is one of my favorite writers in comics right now. I do wonder what Jeremy's ceiling is on writing titles. He is at 3.5 titles with core writing behind Shared Justice League or Green Lantern Core, Aquaman, and FG. What's FG? Flash Gordon. Yeah, I mean Jeremy Adams is doing great work, I think, on all of those books. I don't even think that this was like this issue to me is not an indicator of any like general lack of quality. I think everything he's doing is good.
I still thought this issue was good. Like this, yeah, wasn't a bad issue at all.
Yeah, like for what it's worth, doing what the issue did, it did it well. I just don't want to see that. But like, there are a lot of comics I've read that do this type of thing where it's just dreadful beyond measure. And this wasn't that.
Are we too harsh on new comics?
Again, so we're not harsh enough.
All right. Well, are we going to be harsh on Batman Dark Patterns? Probably not.
I doubt it.
Yeah, we hardly ever are. This is written by Dan Waters, who has been killing it, with art by Hayden Sherman, who's really been killing it. And then, of course, we have letters or colors by Triona Farrell, letters by Frank Vetkovic. And this issue, first of all, this issue is probably the first comic to make me think specifically of a manga, which I never thought would happen. But I had one specific manga in my mind as I was reading this book. And so this issue introduces us to the new arc because every 3 issues is a new arc of this series. And so this one is in a building. But it's in a building that has sort of an odd way about it. It's almost as if the building has an agenda or a mind of its own, and the pages and panels, the way they're laid out, almost give you the impression that the building is moving, shifting. Residents even talk about the fact that the building can like shoot sound around to confuse you and stuff like that. And that made me think of Chainsaw Man. When
Hell
they're
yeah.
stuck in
that arc, yeah.
that crazy building where that was the best. That I loved that.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Is Sean praising manga unsolicited on this channel?
Well, that if you guys think back to that review, I did
You
talk
liked
very highly of it.
Yeah, you did like it.
Listen, yeah, good is good, man.
Right. And so that's what this made me think of. And I got to tell you, I had a blast with this comic.
Yeah.
This was one of the other ones that I was almost my pick of the week.
Mhm.
Almost,
Mhm.
not quite. This takes one of my favorite tropes ever, and that's just building and fighting through it. The movie The Raid, if you've ever seen that, I think of like Attack the Block in a way as well, or Warren Ellis's Moon Knight, Punisher
Red.
Warzone, one of my favorite movies. I just like that idea of somebody having to fight their way up a building, and then it being one of the first times I get to read an actual ventriloquist comic, or Scarface rather, surprised me. I had no idea that was what this arc would be about. Like, I didn't read this list; it's on purpose. And then once I saw what it was, I was like, oh, hold on now. Okay, I'm into it.
Yeah.
This is great stuff. The panel work in this, like I talk about Hayden's panels and what they're managing to do in the series, and it's just so damn good.
Yeah, this made me think almost exclusively of Dread, which is a film
Oh,
I
another
just
one. Yeah.
absolutely love. I love that film. But yeah, here Hayden's stuff very similar to Absolute Wonder Woman. It's just an absolute joy to look at and figure out. And like I spent a lot of time on the spread of uh the building and like the the inside of the building, how it's climbing the yeah,
This one?
exactly that one.
It
Yeah,
almost made
yeah,
me
yeah.
dizzy. Yeah.
Trying to work out what I was looking at and how it worked, and um really, really enjoyed um the paneling and the art in this book. And it feels so Batman the animated series too.
Which I think we've called out in the previous arc as having a bit of a vibe of that. But
Yeah.
that staircase scene or double page spread of the apartment building, it felt like it. I felt like I was being lied to while looking at it. I'm like, does that look right? I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made me a little dizzy. It was like very MC Escher stairs too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what is going on? Which then Batman pretty much explicitly states like, oh, these things are weird here. Great stuff. Great freaking work.
This was masterful. This was brilliant. I got the Scarface cover.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I saw this cover that Scarface was in the comics. So when I got it, I was like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me? I fucking love Scarface so much."
Yeah.
If I had a chance to write for Batman, DC would have to pay me to not put Scarface in it because I would put Scarface in it. And the idea that he somehow has control over this building is just ridiculous. I don't understand how that's possible. That doesn't make any sense at all. I do not care. This is awesome.
For me, it made sense. Like, if he could inhabit, if there's this thing inhabiting an inanimate object, why don't you just do that writ large? Like, what's the limit,
Depends
really?
depends on what he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was great. There's that one page where the panels form Scarface
Yeah.
that I was just like,
So
and I didn't notice
so
it as
cool.
when I turned the page. I noticed it. I'm reading the panels. I'm just going to the panels to get to the story, and I'm like, wait, there's a shape here, and then I
Yeah.
look, and there's that mask that the person is grabbing in the middle of the page, and that's the nose of Scarface, and I pretty much had to like almost readjust my eyesight, and it fully forms Scarface. I'm like, Hayden, killing it. It's just so damn good.
I love the lettering there too, because like you can tell that it's coming from all around in the exact way that the building had been described, like the way the sound works in the building. It's just coming from absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, this is like from a craft standpoint, rarely do I read a book that just has my mind going nuts because of the panel layouts, because of the lettering, and the way that the lettering is reflecting the idea that the words are shooting around. The panels making you feel almost claustrophobic and confused about how you're supposed to look at the page. Like, holy shit. Holy shit. If you're a craft person or if you're an artist yourself, you're looking at this and you're going crazy. Who's doing this? Who is doing this? And this is why I said that I don't even think what Hayden is doing on Absolute Wonder Woman even is anything close to this. Hayden is losing their fucking shit in Batman Dark Patterns.
I mean, we're going to hell next issue for Wonder Woman, the next issue that Hayden tackles. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I have no critique on this. Like, I think it's also good that like Waters and Sherman made a new character for the first arc, and now they're tackling a known character. But like, you can't tell me a comic where Scarface was the main protagonist that was good. And if you can, that would surprise me. But it's like one of those Batman characters that always shows up in a tier list,
Yeah.
but never has a killing joke.
He doesn't need a killing joke. He just needs a good story.
Sure, I'm going in the way that the one bad day,
It
pitch
doesn't need one of those. Much like
didn't get one.
most of the characters in One More Day didn't need one of
That's
those.
true. Yeah.
And to add to what Cale just said, we didn't need those.
The Clayface one was good.
No, we didn't need it.
I don't have. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a new guy now, Batman.
I love
Another
it.
one, and you're standing in it.
Is that how he sounded in the animated series? I totally forget.
It was a bit more mobster, I
Like,
think.
yeah, saying yeah. It was like
Yeah,
that's how
but
I
I've
always
tried
imagined
to,
him. Yeah.
I've tried to work out seeing the way the G's are transposing B's is really interesting to me. Try to work out how that works phonetically.
I don't know what the hell Dan Waters is doing here. This is a vibe comic.
A fucking Batman the Animated Series on a loop is what he's doing.
Yeah, the first arc definitely had shades of that. This issue has shades of that. I'm loving it. I think the vibe I'm getting from chat and from some of the early poll is that you guys are sort of not showing up for this book and feeling like it's skippable. Anything is skippable, but if you're looking for quality, right? If that's your agenda, you should be buying this. Like, what Batman book are you buying that's better than this?
Maybe absolute, but
Maybe.
I like no joke. If the trajectory of this series continues in this fashion, this will be on our best of for 2025 easily. I think it'll at least be up on the options that we'll have.
Yeah.
Easy pull. Damn. I really want to say this is my pick of the week, but I'm gonna hold off.
I'm curious now.
Very, very easy pull, but I think my pick does this 100, not 100 times better, but 100 times more.
This being what? When you say it does
We'll
this,
have to get there. Have to
Damn,
get there when
blue
we talk
balls.
about it.
And for you guys, you say 38% pull, didn't buy or read is 29%. Pick of the week, 23%. Pass is 8%. And for what it's worth, this was Marco's pick of the week.
He's not
So there you
here.
go.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, his was fucking Swamp Thing or whatever
Swamp
the
Butt,
shit.
yeah, Swamp Butt over
Yeah.
here. Can we call him that when he's on the show? Call him Swamp Ass.
I'm giving Marco full grace because he's got an actual situation going on.
Sure,
So for
sure,
that
sure.
reason, I am acknowledging his pick of the week. So hats off to you, Marco. I did think this was an excellent.
Yeah. He also has the spreadsheet, so he has control over that. So, yes, what do I care?
Scripture says, I'm actually glad these arcs will be told in 3 issues. I'd be worried if this took a whole 5, 6 issues. I don't know how, but feels like they are hella cramming so much craft into 3-issue stories. I'm here to say I think a lot more books should be willing to do shorter arcs.
Yeah.
I don't disagree at all. I think it just works better.
And I think a lot of times, especially with mysteries, sometimes the shorter stuff is more interesting and more fun. You don't always need a 2-hour, Poirot feature film length episode when the 45-minute one will get you a good amount of humor and you'll have fun at the same time.
And not drag shit out. I feel like a lot of times we're dealing with fluff that doesn't need to be there, and Dark Patterns is saying, we're cutting all that out. I love it. MP says you guys need to go back and read Grant and Brayfogel's post-crisis Batman. Most of the best Batman villain stories are found in back issues, not special one-shots. And we're talking to somebody that works for DC, so clearly MP would know better than anybody.
Notice how
yeah.
MP and Mr. DC are never in the chat at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
Bruce Wayne Batman situation, methinks.
Brayfogle is one of my top Batman artists, so I
That's fair.
would do that easy.
I got to do that. I haven't checked out any of that. Is that Legends of the Dark Knight, or is that what is that? How's that
That
housed?
might be some of that. That might be Shadows of the Bat.
Okay.
There are a couple of really good like artist collections that are out. If you like, so there's I know I have a Brayfogle one, I think, on Comixology. But they're based in, the iconic Batman artists.
Oh,
So it'll be, it'll cover all the eras that artist worked in.
that's sick.
Brayfogle really had those the pointy shoulders, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
crazy, like Brayfogle invented what McFarlane was doing on Spawn, but with Batman. Like Brayfogle's capes are crazy.
Ooh, there's a Brayfogle Batman McFarlane action figure too.
Yeah.
Damn, a flood of comments. You guys are chatting it up. I love to see it. Wow. MP follows up. Currently, my favorite Bat book. If it maintains its quality, it will be a new evergreen Batman collection. Well, if it keeps up this quality, I'll be going to bat for it on a near mint
So to
evergreen
speak.
show at some point. No, so to speak. Yes.
Oh yeah, Bat MP just recommended probably my favorite Brayfogle story and one of my very early Batman books. I'd recommend The Last Arkham from Shadow of the Bat number 1 through 4. First appearance of Victor Zsasz and Jeremiah Arkham.
Hmm.
Great, 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 great stuff.
Mr. Funiverse says Batman is my favorite hero ever, but this run really isn't doing it for me. Issue 1 didn't really get me. I'll probably have to give it another go. Let me tell you, Mr. Funiverse, I think issue 1 was the worst issue of this book. Issue 1 is not a good barometer for the quality of this series. Everybody does way better work from 2 forward.
And I think that was our review on it too. Like I wasn't hot on issue 1 at all.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I got to 2 and I was like, oh, hold on a second, they're cooking now. So if you read issue 1 and that's where you ended, give it another shot. Give 2 at least a shot because 2 was what hooked me.
Yeah. 2 was definitely where I got hooked as well. Jesse says, smash that like button. And I saw Phenomenal AC sharing a similar sentiment earlier. So that's a great reminder to all 70 plus of you that are hanging out with us right now live to smash that like button. This was one of the books that you could have voted for on the poll that we had last week. You guys showed up for this poll. You voted. 520 plus of you voted. That's an amazing number. Thank you for that. We had a little bit of a snafu, and so we decided we were going to take the top 2 books from the poll, not just one, the top 2 books from the poll, and review them this week. So Dark Patterns made it, but so did Green Lantern Corps number 2, which is the next book that we are going to be reviewing. But before we talk about it, I do want to let you guys know that you should vote in the poll that's up right now on our YouTube channel under the post tab. Get your vote on. We've got some pretty good options there. Power Fantasy number 7 is there. Magic number 3 is there. Batman and Robin Year 1 number 6, and DC X Sonic the Hedgehog. I gotta read that. Whether it wins or not, I'm reading that shit.
I am a Sonic head. I gotta go fast. I need anyone listening to this, watching this. I'm gonna campaign for Sonic the Hedgehog DC. Sonic versus the Flash. This would have blown the mind of 8-year-old me. Cale, did your dog fart where you are or something? Or he's not a
No,
big
I'm
Sonic fan?
listening to these garbage takes. That's what I'm making this Frank Reynolds egg face for. DC versus Sonic the Hedgehog? Come
It's not
on.
versus. They're teaming up. Tails is teaming up with Cyborg. How cool is that?
Even worse.
What about Lex and Eggman teaming
No,
up?
stop it. Stop it. You know what I'm going to say. Stop it.
Dude, hold on. Hold on. I got it. Shadow and Jason Todd.
Stop
Come on.
it. Stop it.
Shadows
on.
teaming up with Batman. They're
Nothing
both
you
riding
can say can
motorcycles.
convince me about this. It's bad. This is bad.
Is there a Rogue the Bat Gooner cover variant for this?
Well,
Rogue the Bat, Rogue the
Hold
Bat,
up.
and Catwoman the Cat, Bat Cat. That's a
Oh,
Bat
well,
Cat I can
okay,
get behind.
all right.
Okay, all right.
shit, I'm in.
Hayden, talk to me. Would that win? Is that a Gooner pick of the week if we get that?
I also
What
like
kind of covers do we have for that? I gotta see.
I also like the premise that like because it's Sonic, he has to team up with the Flash. So that means Superman gets Knuckles, which I'm so into.
That's funny. I love it. I love it. All right, let's talk about Green Lantern Corps number 2. This is written by the aforementioned Jeremy Adams, who is pulling double duty this week, but Jeremy is not alone because Jeremy is being joined by Morgan Hampton with pencils by Fernando Passerin, inks by Eau Claire Albert, colors by Arif Prianto, letters by Dave Sharp. This book is continuing the story of the spectrum out of whack. The emotional spectrum is out of whack. People are spawning powers out of nowhere. And that's a big time problem. Danagar's been destroyed. Some amount of our lanterns have to go and see what's up with that. Um, John Stewart gets stuck in a closet with Hawkgirl. That was pretty cool. And this disgusting thing happens.
Zox, not my guy.
That's my favorite DC character for this minute right here. I like that guy. He's awesome.
Just tortured Zilius Zox. That looks like MCU's MODOK.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Very specifically MCU MODOK, by the way.
I dug this.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, this felt like Tomasi's era of Green Lantern Corps in a good way. It's just like just good space hijinks, really, and I like the idea of like the Red Lantern Corps doesn't exist, but they're still together. So it was like cool seeing Bleeze again, cool seeing Dexstar, even though they're not powered up. It's almost like seeing them almost like naked in a way. It's like they're in their civilian gear. I thought it was good. I like the how we focused really on one mission. Here we focused on John. We focused on Hawkwoman, Shayara, and it really kind of because the first issue there was a lot of different characters. There's a lot of non-Hal Jordan Green Lanterns that are from Earth that it had to focus on, and this issue kind of honing in on one specific section of the story. I thought was a good choice.
I really love the different feels of this issue and the way we had both like it feels like a really great meld of the Justice League cartoon with the drama between Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl, but also we've got the characters from the Green Lantern animated series in Razor and the Red Lanterns there. And then at a certain point, Razor brings up the I think it's an android that is in that show that he falls in love with or something and turns him into a Green Lantern. I think the voices in this were really good. Like the dialogue was on point.
This was the first book I read this week, and it set the bar real high. This shit was so good, and it's like exciting to be reading like 2 Green Lantern books that are both good. Like, when was the last time that we had that? Green Lantern fans eating swell right now. And I appreciate the character choices as well, like who we're getting to follow. It's not the Hal show. I appreciate that. We've got a Hal book. Hal has his title, but here we're getting a different flavor. And I really, really like that. The stuff with who's the Red Lantern guy?
Atrocitus.
Oh my God, dude. He was such a badass here. The way he pulled up on them with that crazy axe. Like, oh my goodness, man. Just this book just has the right amount of character moments. We got some of that stuff. and then the big action and fun beats and stuff like that. Oh, I'm loving it.
It's also just like good sci-fi. So like the current state of the Green Lantern universe is that there's these non-willpower emotional spectrums that are being only certain people are just expressing them. So in this case, Zilius Zox is the one that got so mad he actually started manifesting the Red Lantern stuff. And the idea they took that character and they made him a battery for a spaceship that could then power up Atrocitus's suit. I'm like, that's good sci-fi shit.
Messed up.
Yeah, and that's like his friend in a way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's wild.
He's a douche.
And also the idea that Dexstar is security, just roaming the ship. That's exactly what a cat would do. That's very cat-like.
I can't say enough positive things about this. On the art front, I've enjoyed Passarin's art for a really long time. I feel like he doesn't really get a ton of love.
Was he during the Gold and Blue X-Men? Was he there?
That's not what I remember him from. I'm remembering him. He was on what? He was on a Jim Gordon Batman book. Was it Detective with Tomasi? Was that a thing? You're muted.
It had to be the other one. It wouldn't have been Batman proper. So that tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe that's what I'm thinking of, and that was really good. And I feel like he's leveled up since then. This is crisp, really good stuff. I love again the way he draws Atrocitus, but also like the character work, the facial work is getting done. Like Atrocitus's facial work is great. Like he looks fucking angry. You know what I'm saying? I love these panels where he's just ripping them up.
Well, and even the stuff in the closet between John and Shiera was really, really good. You know what? I think this might be just as good as the old guy that we don't like anymore.
In terms of art.
Yeah.
Oh.
He might be here, Cal. Be careful.
Hey, listen.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Yeah.
But I think this is just as good. And that dude was at like the height of his power then.
Yeah. I agree in the sense that I don't feel like we're lacking anything from the art standpoint. I have nothing negative to say about this. I loved this reading experience. It's not my pick of the week, but in terms of raw enjoyment, I enjoyed reading this more than everything else that we read today, or for the show. Just fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not sure I would give that high praise, but it's damn good.
Very, very good.
And you guys agree that this is a strong book. Pull 66%. Didn't buy or read as 26%. Pass is 6%. Nobody chose it as pick of the week. That's okay. Still a very good comic. Comic Book History said, did the show start earlier? Normally 10 a.m. my time start. No, probably has something to do with daylight savings time, if I had to guess, because we just went through that.
It messes with me too, so don't sweat it.
Yeah. Lucas Hallner says, I think my pick of the week is Void Rivals, but I just read Assorted Crisis Events, and that and Transformers are a tie for second for me. Void Rivals was awesome this week.
And
really, really good.
Transformers was awesome this week too.
Transformers was also good this week. Yeah.
Whoa, Sean, you back on the Transformer wagon?
It's funny because just as I was thinking, wow, that was so good, my reading experience, I was also thinking I should drop this.
Huh.
I don't know what it is.
There's momentum now though, for sure.
Yeah. What else? Joseph Wolf says, I believe Morgan Hampton is actually doing most of the writing too, and Adams is just kind of plotting the overarching stuff. Yeah, that's most likely the case. This is like sometimes you get these apprenticeships in comics, or you get a situation where a writer's just trying to give somebody else a rub. It's very likely that Jeremy Adams, given that he's spearheading the whole Green Lantern deal, has his name on it, came up with the general idea of it, but Morgan is the one in the chair. And if that's the case, wow.
Yeah,
It's a name to watch.
Yeah, if that's the case, and this is like the first stuff that I did he work on Cyborg too? I think.
Morgan Hampton did. I want to say it was Cyborg. Yeah.
Yeah. But damn, this is good if that's the case. If they're the one actually scripting things, because there's just crisp character work in here.
I don't think I like that Cyborg.
I didn't care much for it either, but
Yeah.
this is good.
Yeah.
That's how I count it. Transformers is officially on the 36 issue countdown to Sean dropping it.
You might as well just keep picking it up until Danny Warren Johnson's off it. You got like a year.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to drop it, but I'm pretty close to dropping it. Not gonna lie. What that actually means in reality, I don't fucking know, because I haven't read an issue of Monstrous in years. So
Yeah, and DWJ's off on to what, 24?
Something
Right?
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
something
like
like that.
6 issues left. Like, you might as well see it through.
It's one arc. Yeah.
that's a good point. All right, fuck it. I won't drop it.
And then we don't even know who's going to replace him either. So that could be a big deal.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. Nah. I think I'm gonna just jump off. at that
Cale,
point.
note that for when the announcement of the next writer comes about.
Don't tell me to do
Rick
anything. I'm not-
Remender on Transformers.
No, come
Oh
on.
yeah. After what he just put out today, that dude ain't work. He's never gonna work for another company.
Oh,
again.
did he do a whole big thing after
He's-
the Dustin Nguyen stuff?
Yeah, it wasn't as well. It was pretty. He didn't like take shots at anybody in particular. But we're gonna talk about it on Saturday. He put out a very clear
Sure.
statement. Wow, we'll never see that man's name on an IP book again. Although I wish we
Good.
did.
That's not. That was good in that get his bank.
Yeah,
He doesn't
If-
need the IP.
Giant Generator's working out. I'm happy for him. That's my man. Comic Book History said, what happened? We're going to talk all about that on Saturday, my friend. But essentially, Rick Remender put out an image today. It's a celebration of and a plug of Giant Generator, but it's also a very definitive statement about, the state of the industry and where he lies. But speaking of creator owned, let's talk about the most exciting new creator owned series, at least this week, for my money, in quite some time. We're talking about Assorted Crisis Events, #1, written by Dennis Camp, the belle of the ball at the moment, with art by Eric Zawadski, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Hassan Otsman El How. So, most of us had no idea what this was going to be about. I really had a very vague idea based on what little I've read or whatever. This book shows us a world that is constantly in flux. There's constant crisis events taking place that bend reality and dimensions. And, you could be walking down the street happy-go-lucky, and the next thing you know, a dinosaur could manifest next to you and eat your neighbor. Or like what happens in the book, you could be walking down the street and all of a sudden it's a Nazi parade. There's all manner of crazy shit going on, and the protagonist of the book just kind of has to live her life in the midst of absolute fucking chaos. And I think that is definitely speaking to a reality that we are all living in. This book hit a little too close to home, made me uncomfortable, and I love that shit. That's why it's my pick of the week.
It's my pick of the week too, and it was. Go ahead,
Guess
Joe.
what? It's also my pick of the week.
Oh, unanimous. Marco, if you're still
Yay.
there, let us know if it's your. No, he said it was. I think he said it was Dark Patterns.
Idiot.
Ruined it yet again. Yeah, I'm with you, Sean. So I'll be honest. I read this book twice. The first time, I didn't really care much for it. I was a little. I was like, oh man, a lot was happening, but I'm not sure what happened and all that. It was also like 2 a.m. when I read it, so I was a little eepy at that point. So I literally had to sleep on it, and I woke up and I read it again this morning. It was great. I think it really is. You know, we talk about Dennis Camp and his work on Ultimates and it being a real voice for like my generation or ours, I guess I could say. Cale's like 2 more ahead of us. Maybe
Ooh.
maybe 3, yeah. But it feels like that kind of voice where it's like there's that meme. There's like, oh, we live in unprecedented times, and I'm tired of unprecedented times, and that's what this issue is. It's a person that's dealing in a world where the unimaginable happens daily, and they're just numb to it. They're getting these alerts like, oh, you know, time displacement alert in effect for your area. They just hit silence. You know, it's just another day. And there's this, you know, director filming outside her apartment where it's like, that might be fake. It might be real. She doesn't have time to figure that out because she's trying to just get to her job, you know? And it's really pertinent to how I feel. You know, the amount of times you're on your phone and, you know, like the biggest news hits ever and you're just like, all right, well, that's the biggest news until tomorrow.
I have to deal with that now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think the Zawatsky, am I pronouncing that right?
I think so.
The art and the Jordan Blair colors just pair so well with that theming. The way that like all of the huge comic booky shit, it feels like Astro City in a way. That happens in the background. It's just washed out by this pink. It's this fleshy color that doesn't really draw attention to it. It's because in the POV of the character, they're not paying attention to it. So why should you? I think it's just a great use of art to just work behind the scenes subconsciously to dictate a feeling that the team wants to give you. I thought this was just so masterfully done. I loved it.
Yeah, what I especially loved about this issue is the way you're constantly on your toes as to whether or not what's happening on the page is real or not. You know, you're faked out several times by the movie sets and the constant, you know, filming and stuff. And Ashley sets that up early on. You know, their neighborhood is so dilapidated or whatever that it's just easier to film there, which I thought was hilarious. And then all of this stuff is happening all at once, and you're never sure until you turn the page and you can actually see the film crew. And I really just like, I really love that device that just kept me going because I was always expecting it. Oh, okay, it'll be this one. Oh, it's not. All right. Oh, it's this one. Surely it's this one.
And even at the end, it ends with cut. So like
yeah.
it's very Inception. It's like, all right, we'll never really know. And Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. This series is gonna be one shots, right? Just a whole bunch of stories.
I thought
like
I
an
saw
anthology?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had seen that.
Huh.
Yeah, which is why this felt it felt closed
For sure.
in a way by the end. And I was like, all right, I think I remember that this is one shots. I hope it is, because otherwise I don't have like I didn't have a desire to see more of exactly this. I have a desire to see what else.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with like
Interesting.
maybe the guy that's on the cover, the unhoused man with the out of time sign, like the doom
Yeah.
sayer. If he maybe shows up occasionally all around the
He'll
previous
probably be our
issues, yeah.
connecting thread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I dig that idea. That feels like Astro City. This feels like Astro City for millennials, which that is praise in my opinion.
One thing I really loved was the paneling. The paneling
Yeah.
is so Marv Wolfman? No. Jimenez. No. The guy at Crashed on Infinite Earths. That
George Perez.
artist.
Right? Yeah.
Perez. Yes, George Perez. Yeah, George Perez. Especially in the moments where things are claustrophobic. You know, like when we meet her the guy that runs the corner store. She's speaking with the director or whatever. Um, I the way that the paneling is so thin, but you're still getting so much information. And then just the way the rest of the art is on the page. And Jordi Belair is in an era right now. She's doing stuff with muted colors and
Yeah.
one color backgrounds that's just uh something different.
I think of her work on Birds of Prey having
Yeah.
similar bits. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how she just gets to pick which work she wants to be on, you know?
Yeah.
And she's fucking killing it. Yeah.
This book made me think a lot about how, like, unconsciously we are inundated with violence and fear and anxiety and other people's hatred and things like that, and how you are expected to live your life and be fully functional despite the fact that you send your kid off to school, they might never come home. There's bombs going off in other countries funded by your country. uh you know Here in New York, people are getting their power shut off theoretically because Canada's shutting off our power. Like, there's all these things, right, that happen, and you're just supposed to go along with the program. Your phone goes off. Oh, hey, there's an Amber Alert. Well, what the fuck am I gonna do? Ignore. Um,
Yep.
oh my goodness, there's a terror attack in some other country. What am I gonna do? Ignore. And you're compartmentalizing all of these things until you just become absolutely numb to it, and you almost become a nihilist. You almost decide that none of this shit matters at all. And so by the time that Ashley is walking down the street, she gets another alert, whatever it is, who cares? She's walking, and there's this massive hole in the floor. And she looks at it, considers it, and said, oh shit, this is my moment. I'm out of here. How many of us don't want to fall in that fucking hole?
Yep.
Right? But she decides to do that. She makes the decision to take the leap, and bang, it's fake.
Sorry.
What I thought was impressive about that sequence too is that it's kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
it winds up being a Wile E. Coyote bit, which means
Yep.
like you can only laugh in the face of somebody like trying to jump into the void. You know, the call of the void came for her, and it's just a Looney Tunes bit, which is like so almost anti-nihilist. I think it's really impressive that this book doesn't feel nihilistic, even with the story that it's telling. I don't think it ever
With
gets to go there because it's so involved with reaction and non-reaction.
yeah, it feels like we're following the characters nihilism and we're feeling that, but it's too baked into the reality of what's happening for us to go along with that in the same way.
Yeah. It almost feels like nihilism is a choice, and this is just the reality for her. She doesn't really get to make that choice here. It's just this is the world she has to live in. This is how she needs to keep going. The choice is
Yeah.
made for her.
This was stellar. I think everybody should give this a shot. Try it out. I know the poll is reflecting that a lot of you didn't pick it up. I think you should. I think you should. Dennis Camp is a writer whose name is on the rise, and this is his big shot. If you've enjoyed Ultimates and you've enjoyed, 20th Century Man and the other stuff that he's done, I definitely think this is worth your time. And if it's gonna be an ongoing anthology series, there's nothing to necessarily be on the hook for. You just read it, and if you hate it, you're done. And if 5 issues from now you decide you want to see it again, sure.
That's why Ice Cream Man works so well. I jump in and out of
Mm.
Ice Cream Man all the time. And then not to mention the awesome design by Tom Mueller of Krakoan era X-Men. Designed the cover and the info pages in this book as well.
Pick of the week, unanimously, easy decision. Well, actually, this was a really great week for comics, I think, overall. between
Yeah.
what we read on the show and what I read separately.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jesse. Jesse says Dennis Camp should so first I'll call up Flo's
There we
$5
go.
super chat. Dennis Camp don't miss. And then amen. Jesse says Dennis Camp should go by the chef because my boy's cooking on Ultimate and this title. Yes, chef.
Yeah. I've not felt so, I guess, seen from a writer in
Yeah.
recent memory.
Yeah.
This feels like somebody who's going through a lot of the same feelings that I feel that maybe I can't articulate in a medium that I understand.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, when I read like the original Ultimate Spider-Man as a teenager, I was like, oh yeah, I understand what this is. I'm a teenager and I'm going through this. But now I'm an adult and I'm like reading this and going through this and this is like, oh, no, this is written by someone roughly my age and this is the way I feel. This dude gets it.
Yeah, definitely one of the writers of our time. There are a lot of people writing comics right now. Not a lot of them, regardless of their age, are tapped into the way I think modern people, and by modern people, I mean people around our age, feel. And we're finally seeing somebody put that out there in a way that we can connect to. It's really cool.
And for those listening to the audio podcast, because there are those of you by our age, since you don't see us, early 20s.
Yeah, that's it. Um, Unfortunately, though, the poll does reflect that, again, you guys didn't really choose this. 53% of you didn't buy or read it. 25% said pick of the week. Poll is 17%, and pass is 3%. So there were some comments that might illuminate that. Let's see. Cole says the concept didn't do enough for me to check it out. Still not sold, but glad people like it. I'm getting the idea it's more concept and commentary, but little to no story or character. Well, yeah, I mean, it's one and done, so they're not really going to build up anybody too particularly, but I think depending on your life and the realities of your life, you can see yourself in Ashley, certainly in her circumstance, if not her character.
Yeah, I don't even know that I see commentary here necessarily.
It's more like experience, really, than
Yeah.
commentary. I mean, I guess there's some here, but it's not coming up with a solution for anything. It's not really positing anything. It's just like, hey, here's this life for some people.
It's a point of view, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily commenting on it.
Yeah, I guess. Like the book isn't explicitly saying anything, whereas Ultimate is explicitly saying everything.
Yeah.
But here it's just the world. It's just everything around Ashley. But I would say that the very presentation of the world as it is a commentary
Sure.
on our world. It's a choice that Dennis is making. So I can see the use of the word commentary. I think Cole, though, what you might be thinking about is something being like shoved down your throat.
Hmm.
And I don't know that I felt that way.
I don't think so because I had to read it twice. Like I almost read the text first and read the subtext the second time around. Might even justify a third reading if I'm being honest. But I mean, I would still recommend it for sure. I mean, the next issue deals with a meat packing warehouse and a worker in that, so there will probably be some commentary there. But it also has dinosaurs, so that's neat.
Joseph Wolf says it is more so just showing a person's perspective of right now in a way that is also like a crisis event. Right. Feels like we're in one perpetually, and that shit sucks. All right. Let's get on to the last book today. Geiger, number 12. We're ending with a double dose of Image Comics. This is written by Jeff Johns with art by Gary Frank, colors by Brad Anderson, letters by Rob Lee. I definitely looked at the title, but I realized as I was spouting those names off, I don't need to. This creative team is burned in my fucking brain ever since Doomsday Clock. Um, but yeah, Geiger has now met the glowing woman. We thought it was another glowing man. That was proven untrue. And so she's a person who developed these powers and grew up in this post-apocalyptic reality, whereas Geiger was an adult before all of this broke out. And so she's never known a world dislike this. This is the way her world has always been. And so this issue, we're really seeing her try to help Geiger learn about his powers, how to kind of control them a little more, but also go on this mission to stop these hillside people who are insane. And she needs to see if Geiger can hold himself in. He's been having problems controlling his powers. She has that all under control. So she wants to see if he can control himself. And as it turns out, he still can't. He's still too angry. And then there is a twist at the end that we can talk about at the end. What do you guys think of this?
This book is finally doing what I think it's been missing. In so much that like the previous 11 issues, maybe say 10 issues, 11 and 12 are kind of hand in hand, which I read back to back. Those first 10 issues were really bit of a walkabout. It kind of felt like the middle arcs between big Walking Dead arcs, where they're just here they're there with little stories in between. This is finally giving us potentially an antagonist. It's giving some kind of foil to Geiger that I think we've needed instead of just experiencing him in this world. These are superheroes in a way, we need more of them for him to play off of. And I think that it's building in this. I think our design is great. And I think that's what I've been missing from this series, that it's nice to see happen.
I don't have anything to say about this book that I haven't already said. So
Yeah, you're not too hot on it.
Yeah, I really like this issue. I enjoyed getting the origin of the glowing woman. Um, she presents herself as like a good person, and she just wants to help Geiger. And there's a lot under the hood of that. She's she's playing Geiger, and we can sort of see that play out throughout this issue. Um, I have been on the ropes with this book because I just haven't been able to connect with it the way that I was the miniseries. I feel like ever since it became an ongoing, it's just been meandering. And now that we finally got here, it's like okay, we're on the road. It just sucks that it took so long to get to this place. And when we do get the battle with the hillside weirdos, the hillborn people, um, and we see that Geiger uses his power, he can't control it. They all die. You know, that shit struck me hard. That's a nuclear event. Those people sucked, and maybe they deserve to die. I don't know. The glowing woman clearly lied about what they did. She said that they killed the Peter Petrov guy or whatever, Dr. Molotov, and that's not true. She lied. And that introduces a wrinkle that I'm now finally curious to see where this book is going to go. But God, if it took forever to get here.
The Hillborn were the people that raised her in a way, right? Isn't it like an offshoot of that? Like this hyper religious sect of people that are happy the apocalypse came and they were praying for it. That's kind of the ones that shunned her. So
I guess.
it felt like a personal vendetta that she just used somebody else for, which
Yep.
I liked. There's it's a shitty motivation. I mean, it's a motivation, and maybe actually justified. But at least there's layers here, and there's characters here with layers. Like the last couple characters we got introduced to don't talk. We got a zebra with 3 eyes, and a robot that doesn't talk. It's nice to build out this supporting cast with characters that Geiger can interact with.
Yeah. And when we got to the end, and first of all, when she unveils herself as the glowing woman here, that was cool as shit.
Would.
Would not, dude. That'll be your last wood of your life.
Well,
Literally.
come on.
I'll go out
Yeah,
that way. That's fine.
sure.
Oh, all right. But then we see that she's got Dr. Molotov, chained up in her basement. Gotta wonder what's going on there.
Can I just
Clayton Cowles.
Yeah. Can I just praise Jeff Johns real quick for Dr. Molotov? This is the most comic booky name ever. I love it. It's so on the nose in a way.
Yeah, it's good shit. Um, Gary Frank remains undefeated, the best, in my opinion. Does it great when there are, 7+ panels on the page. We get brilliant stuff like that with all that amazing facial work. And then when he has to, do the fight scenes and we go back down to 3 to 5 panels, that stuff looks brilliant and big and cinematic as well. Um, I enjoy this quite a bit. I'm a pull on it.
Yeah, issue 11 and 12 kind of brought me back into it. I was up to issue 10, I was like, it's good, but it's not hooking me. There seems to be finally an arc or story that is really tethering me to the series with these last 2 issues, especially 12. So yeah, this is a pull for me too.
Where is the knight and the dog?
They're sidelined right now because Geiger had another episode.
Yeah.
He exploded. He's unsafe to be around.
Yeah.
And
okay.
so she's working with him to train.
With Junkyard Joe, yeah.
Air with Junkyard Joe.
Yeah, he's part of the crew.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Pass for me.
Yeah, for what it's worth. Chat is mixed. 47% didn't buy a read. 40% pull, pass is 7%. Pick of the week is 3%. Now, what I want to do, because we've read 12 issues of Geiger, that typically accounts for, 2 arcs. I think we've given it more than enough time. I want to put up a poll right now and see if the live audience wants us to continue to read and review Geiger or not. That's what we're going to do.
Ooh, hot seat.
Yes.
All 72 of you have some power here.
Yes.
And honestly, when in life do you actually have a semblance of power? Grab it while you can.
So, simple binary. Should Geiger stay on the show? Yes or no? If you vote yes, that means you want to hear us review it continually. If you vote no, then you don't want us to review it anymore. For my part, I love this book. However, when it comes to Ghost Machine, I'm not as enthused about it as I am some other stuff. And it just feels like there's not a lot to say about it in a review form.
I keep reading this book and I enjoy this book, but I would be okay with maybe not talking about every issue and doing check-ins here and there. Like, I'm sure there will be an issue that comes up that just fucking kicks me in the butthole. But I'll be glad to talk about that. But it is a bit of a what more can I say? It's good. I recommend it. Pick it up.
Yeah, I think my position here is pretty clear. Like, I kind of sat this review out. This book just hasn't done anything for me the whole time we've been reading it. And that includes, the mini series previous to this.
It's been like 4 years.
I just we keep coming back to this book, and I don't know how many times I can go, it's not for me. So for me, no thanks. It's more for me, ultimately, like what it comes down to is it's more Jeff Johns superhero stuff. And I just we had so many years of, and that's not to say that I'm sure it's good. It's just not for me. We had so many years of Jeff Johns superhero stuff at DC. I'm loving Hyde Street right now because it's something so out of Jeff's usual ballpark. And he still had to put a superhero in there. So yeah, for me, like I'm tapped out on this pretty much altogether.
Okay. Scripture said, I'm voting no, but should be required to be replaced by a creator owned book. Man, listen, we're going to do what we got to do week to week. You know what I'm saying?
Hope you like all DC week coming up.
Near
I'm
said I
saying,
prefer to see other creator owned stuff. Yeah, I mean, if we drop Geiger, it's not a guarantee that what will be up in its place that week will be a non Big Two book. It just means that we won't talk about Geiger. Like I don't know what would have made the list this week if not for this, but off the top of my head, I can't think of anything indie that would have been in that spot.
I mean, we had to do 2 books in the poll. That we it's one of those weeks.
Right.
Like next week, huge week.
Transformers, maybe? Would we have done Transformers?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. The least
And
the least creator owned.
indie,
Yeah,
yeah, like
it's the least indie thing possible. Yeah, the indie book based on the franchise that has 5
Right.
movies,
Right.
multiple theme park rides, an entire toy line that it's based from. Indie.
countless animated series.
Yeah, like let's say Geiger wasn't talked about, right, this week. Let's erase that review from our memory for a moment. What book would you have wanted to make the list instead that is not from Marvel and not from DC?
Lady Death.
That's what I would
Lady Death. Let's do it.
Uncaged said the moon is following us. That's a great book. I love that book. But unfortunately, I'm caught up, but I would imagine the panel is probably a few issues behind. It's tougher to like skip ahead and just read issue 7 of The Moon is Following Us than it is to do the same thing with Green Lantern, for example. Because you understand the general idea of what Green Lantern is.
Oh, that Dark Pyramid came out this week. That would have been a good
Ye-
one.
Dark Pyramid. I had thought about that, but the reason why books like that struggle to make the list is because like, how are we going to get it? Like, is this?
Yeah.
And if you're interested in what else we read, check out Pal's previews every Monday.
Totally.
We talk about it.
Yeah, we talked about Lady Death briefly. Cale did not talk about Gatchaman, only Earth number 2.
I don't know how to feel about this Gatchaman
Okay.
stuff. I haven't looked into it.
All right.
Paul said time for Spawn.
I mean,
Listen,
the if here's what I'll say. If there's a good jumping on point coming up and the other 3 guys want to do it, I'll give it a shot.
all right, y'all heard it. Spawn's back on the menu, boys.
Who's my Spawn connect? Is it Cole? I need someone to keep us abreast of when a good
been a
time to
long
jump
time,
on.
yeah.
A what?
Oh my god. Jesse says FML has been fun. Yeah, I've talked about my feelings on that book. Maybe we'll jump back on. Near said Snot Girl. I know I've read every issue of Snot Girl except the most recent ones. Are we all on the same page with that, Cale?
I didn't read today's.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't read Snot Girl since we did it when I lived in New Zealand. Like,
BC?
Oh my god.
The BC era?
yeah,
That was
Snot Girl's great,
yeah.
though. I do recommend that book.
sure.
But yeah,
It's
that
fine.
might be hard to talk about, too, because it's so soap opera. Like, you need to be up to date on that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Like the books you guys are throwing out there, it's like The Hive. We didn't read The Hive #1, so we could have. What publisher was that? What
That's
publisher's The
Image, I
Hive?
believe.
Image. Okay, so we could have
It's
given
an
that
image,
a go.
yeah.
Yeah.
At
All
least
right.
still could.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
be an easy catch.
Let us know what the buzz is like. Yeah. Pun unintended there.
It's funny. I feel like when we started Spawn, we got a lot of buzz. A lot of people came in and they were hot on it. But now that we have quite an audience, it doesn't seem like anybody's into it. We lost all those people.
We lost all those people. We lost them. Stoops, would you do a manga? I really don't want to. We've done them occasionally when the guys want it, and I submit. But I don't like to read it personally.
The times we've done it were when it's one shots. Like we did Goodbye Eri.
Yeah.
Because it was a one and done story, and it like manga week to week is hard to review because it's like it's short. And
It's
then
like reviewing Geiger week to week.
well, but you also lose color, so you lose a discussion there. And there like some issues are just giant fight issues. Like what are we gonna talk about? That was cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. We lost 30 minutes of the show there. Also, like I'm not catching up to One Piece. I'm sorry. What's a Dandanon at? Like, can I catch up to that? Is that what are we at here for issue 185? See, like even that is too daunting for me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think this is the manga pals is not launching anytime soon. I don't think, Stoop. Sorry, man. Mr. Futterverse says, well, obviously you'd be covering Five Nights at Freddy's, Tales from the Pizzaplex. Let me tell you something, Mr. Futterverse. Nothing would please me more than to be able to get on this podcast and talk about my undying affection for Five Nights at Freddy's, one of the greatest video game franchises of all time that I cannot play. I do not play those games, but I love those games.
All I know is the sound that fucking Freddy makes. It's like Urf. Like that's all I know about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Fucking Banjo.
Oh, is that Banjo?
Banjo Kazooie. Uh-huh.
Why do I feel like he's made that in mods I've seen for other games?
Man, I don't know. I was just
I
I don't know Five Nights at Freddy. That could very well be.
God, One Piece is at
Oh, dude.
issue 1142. God damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm never reading that.
You ever watch Game Theory, the YouTube channel?
No.
First of all, you would love Matt Pat. He's a theater kid, video game nerd, loves Pokemon. They have great theories about. Basically, the channel concept is take a video game and theorize something about it. And so they've done the Five Nights at Freddy's theory videos, and it is a rabbit hole that you can go down and get lost, and it is so much fun. Like, I encourage anybody to go to Game Theory and check out Matt Pat's videos about that.
All right. Sean FNAF, our special win.
I don't know that there's an interest in that kind of thing, man.
Is there a financial interest? Are we talking let's see. How much is how much what's that number for you, Sean? What are we talking? 50?
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah. That's yeah. That's an
50
easy
bucks. We'll get
goal.
Sean in a VR headset and we'll
I
get
can
him on
get
the
that.
Oh no.
I have a VR headset. I know where Sean lives.
Dude,
50
okay,
bucks.
that sounded
Let's go, chat.
threatening. First of all, I have played VR in my life, and it was horrifying. Okay, I had that shit on, and I was in space, dude. And I looked down, I saw space. I looked to my left, I saw space. That freaked me the fuck out. But secondly, Five Nights at Freddy's games, if there was a camera on me when I was playing those games, I'd get banned because I can't control my mouth and I get freaked the fuck out.
So I've been playing this new game called Repo. I don't know if you've guys seen any gameplay of that. It's Five Nights at Freddy's mixed with geez, I always forget the name of it. But it's essentially it's a horror game and you play with friends and it's all proximity chat. So I scream when I get scared in a game. So my friends will be with me. I'll get grabbed by this monster and they just hear me going, ah! It's hilarious.
I was so I started Resident Evil 3 remake last night. And I'm at the part the power plant where the creepy things are on the walls and the spiders and they and the ceilings and they jump down at you and they were everywhere. And I'm tense. I'm playing and I'm going and all of a sudden the dog's cage jumped and shook. And we both me and the dog jumped up. What is it? And the fucking even worse, the door was swinging and it was making like the squeak. Wee, 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 and-
I tried playing because I've not played Resident Evil since 2 for the PlayStation. I played
Yeah.
my uncle's version. The dogs popped out, scared the shit out of me, and the camera scared the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah.
I tried playing the one that was first person that was like almost like a hillbilly house recently.
Yeah.
7. I got halfway through the tutorial and I was like, nope, I'm good. I had my Apple Watch on and it alerted me twice.
I would love to play that on VR. I think
Oh
it would
my,
be
that's on
so
that
fun.
has a VR version too.
Yeah, I know.
Shit, I will mail you my VR one just to see you do that.
Hayden's hideout with the $5 for my fellow FNAF and Game Theory fan. Thank you, Hayden. I appreciate that, brother.
As
I was there from the beginning of that ride.
as a FNAF fan, any interest in that new Russo Brothers movie? The electric something or other that people are it's like animatronics that are alive, but it's an action movie, and everyone's saying it's the worst thing they've ever done, even though the budget for that movie cost the same amount as the last 15 Best Picture award winners combined.
Wow. I didn't know any of that, but I did see a trailer for the movie and it looked cool.
Electric
What's it called?
Russo movie. Hold on. The Electric State. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna
Whoa.
see it, but I did see a trailer and it looked kind of cool.
I think it's like a Netflix thing or something.
Rami says a friend of mine, his home phone rang at 2 p.m. right after he finished watching The Ring. Fuck that, dude.
Oh hell
No.
no. Hell no.
No.
Also, who watches a horror movie at before 2 p.m.? Who's like, I'm gonna have some terror with my lunch?
Well, listen.
He must have meant 2 a.m., right? Like,
I don't know.
Listen, you close the curtains, you make it dark,
It's true.
put your phone away.
Mr. Funiverse said, I'm not going to lie. I've been watching this show for a couple months now. Just that? I feel like you've been around for a while. And this is the first time it's really clicked with me that Cale does not really live in a horridly 70s wood paneled house.
First of all, how dare you? I really like this paneling. I grew up with this paneling and I really dig it.
With all the Comics Pals bucks, Cale was able to buy the Brady Bunch house and do
right.
little changes. Yeah.
No, this is the I can't get my wife to clean up her half of the office. So I use a set from a local soap opera. I've been thinking about changing it. If you've got something similar to this that you think would be cool, let me know. Pass it my way.
I can make you one too if you want, Cale.
Lucas, that's bullshit, dude. Lucas says, spoiler, Sean's piano isn't real. You don't know that.
He just
You
moves it
don't
all
know
the
that.
time. That's all.
I just got the green screen behind me. I don't need to show that shit off all the time. I show that shit off on somebody else's channel, not here. I don't want you guys to, feel like I'm shitting on you.
Omar requests perfection, and Sean likes to give it.
That's right. Near says, I remember I looked over my top bunk as a kid and I swear I got pushed off by a ghost and fell, but caught myself on the bar and was hanging. Traumatic as fuck.
Is this the Scaredy Pals? Can I say what scared me as a child?
Might as well.
His name was Lester. Have I told you guys about Lester?
Not sure.
No, I don't think so.
My grandmother, at a young age, bought me a ventriloquist dummy.
Sure.
That went by the name of Lester. I think it was like an actual famous ventriloquist dummy. They recreated versions of them. And I know it didn't happen. But you ever have stuff that like the logical side of your brain is like, of course that didn't happen. But the child side of your brain is like, no, you saw that. This dummy would constantly move his head and look at me. He would at one point, he had a knife. It's a memory I have. Whether or not it is a bad dream that I remember, possibly. Did my brother set me up? Possibly, but he was also afraid of the thing, so I doubt it. There was this dummy tried killing me. So eventually, my brother and I, we tried killing him. We put him in a garbage bin, and we like piled shit on top of it, and we made sure the garbage people took it out. And then for my 18th birthday, my brother bought me another one.
Oh yeah.
I got rid of it, and then my aunt bought me another one for my 21st or something like that. This horrified me. I can't watch Chucky's. I can't watch Puppet Masters. Anything. I can watch Slappy, Goosebumps. That's fine. But dolls, man,
What's that one?
can't do
Have you
dolls.
seen the James Wan one?
Oh.
Megan.
No.
No, you're talking about Silence, is it?
I'm looking right now.
There's like a slappy
Dead
looking
Silence.
dummy. Dead Silence. Yeah, nope. Saw the poster and I'm out.
It's great.
I'm out. Like, I love Poltergeist as a movie. I can watch The Creepy Tree, but as soon as that clown shows up, that's a double whammy.
Look in our Discord. Is it this one?
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's him. Yep.
Oh,
That is that guy. He is that boy.
that's a boy.
Yeah, it's Lester.
Yeah.
The
He's from
fuck?
like the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh. That's weird.
If you just Google, I'm not putting him on the screen. Fuck that. But if you just
I don't
Google
give him life.
Lester dummy, you never know. Horrifying.
All right, let's do the stack so we can get out of here. This is a game where you guys leave in the chat how many books you think are on my pull list this week, and whoever's the closest without going over can win one of the codes for any of the Marvel books that are in my stack this week, or you can get yourself a no prize, which some weeks is more valuable depending on what Marvel put out. You never know.
All the Marvel books you talked about this week, Sean. You can read one of those if you want. Wait,
Was this a Marvel less week?
it was. Yeah. At least for the show. Yeah.
Oh
We're
shit! I didn't even
we're-
clock that.
Beating the allegations this week.
Oh my goodness. Frankly, I don't have a great story this week from my LCS, although I do want to give props to one of my LCS employees who hooked it up for me. Assorted Crisis events, there were no more cover A's on the shelf.
He stole it. From
Stole it.
from one of the polls, maybe. Went in and be like, oh, well, this guy gets cover B instead. Pulled it out.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, they don't keep those there.
True.
On
Oh yeah,
Wednesday,
you
sadly.
went through this. Yeah.
But so I said, do you happen to have any more? Like there were none out, and he was like, yeah, maybe we have more. And I said, okay, I'll go look. And he's like, no, overstock. Let me go look. So he goes somewhere. I don't even know where the hell he went, and he returns with a copy of cover A, and I was happy as a pig in shit.
They got a Siege Perilous in the back of that comic shop. They just walk
Yeah.
through.
I didn't know that was a thing. I never tried that before. I'm gonna try that every time when I miss out on a cover A.
Grubbyless fingers too on it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Love that. Comic book history says 100% true. A friend of mine had a ghost follow him home, and it stayed around until he told it to fuck off out loud, and then
Yeah.
it left his home.
You gotta say it out loud. Otherwise, it'll let you. It won't go away. You have to believe in it as much as it believes in you.
I'd try to seduce it.
Well, sure.
Oh,
Saw
God.
Ghostbusters.
Oh God. Hayden's Hideout said, "Did you see the cover for the Emma Frost series?" I'm pretty sure we. Oh no, there were no covers when we talked about that series.
Nope.
No, I guess not.
Nope.
Is it good, Hayden? I mean, if Hayden is talking about it, then it must be pretty damn
The only
good.
downside to that series is that it's not an in current continuity series. It's one of those like telling a story from when she was the White Queen, which is like, oh, all right, I'm out then.
Ugh. Atomic Hound says, "Do I need to read the issues of Storm before X-Man Hunt?" For the X-Man hunt of it, no. For the Storm of it, yes.
Supposed to be
argue,
good.
I'd argue you might need to read Storm for the X-Men hunt of it too. Did you read X-Men?
Yeah. Well, I didn't read X-Men this week, but I read Storm.
Okay. because, I mean, Professor X is walking around and affecting people. I guess you don't really need to read it.
No. He just pops. His appearance in Storm was fucking irrelevant practically.
I will say, read it. You're right, though, Sean. Read it because it's actually a pretty good book.
Storm.
Yeah. Yeah, they're dealing with some gods-like cosmic shit in that book.
All right, Cale, you want to get us those numbers, man?
Let's go. We have Rami Darwish with 18. Near Never Far Away with 17. James Jones, perennial winner, is also calling 17. Tragically, it's too late because Near got there first. He was closer. Lucas Holner says 22. Mr. Funniverse says 14. Hayden says 16. Scriptured says 16. Robert Cashback says 13. Meyer HQ says 13. Cole says 12. Hound says 19. Joe says 14. Comic Book History says 14. Snoops doesn't know you very well. They say 8. John Carlos says 19. We've got Chris Coleman here with 11. John Carlos with 9. Jesse says 3D. And that's it.
Meyer says Meyer called 13. WTF.
I said that.
Meyer lives in their own world. The 6 books that we reviewed on the show, plus Snot Girl number 19, Transformers number 18. This was sick. We got a new fucking Transformer, which was so cool. I love this. The Moon is Following Us, number 7. Witchblade, number 9. I told you on Pal's Previews I would do it. I did it. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I will. West Coast Avengers, number 5. Mine is a Long, Lonesome Grave, number 2.
What's the format of that book? Is it a standard?
Yep.
Like dimensions? Okay. I wasn't sure about the cover.
Amazing Spider-Man 69. Legacy 963.
We're getting there.
Red Coat, number 10. And Void Rivals, number 17. Also excellent this week. 2 wins in the Energon Universe column this week.
Is that 14?
Thought I had 15.
How many did we start with?
6.
We did start with 6.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, you're right. 14. 14.
That's Mr. Funniverse.
Hey.
And comic book history too. So you guys get to fight over some mid Spider-Man.
Sick. Was that
don't forget Joe.
Oh yeah.
Joe gets it before comic book history.
That's
Sorry.
true. They were back to back there, yeah.
Your options are Amazing Spider-Man and West Coast Avengers. Because I think that's all the Marvel I bought this week.
Are you reading?
Wow.
Did you catch up to West Coast at all?
I haven't caught up.
Okay.
I'm a couple issues back.
I know somebody in our comments on YouTube was asking us what our thoughts are on that. I caught up right after that comment. I dig it. It's dysfunctional. It's not the best book, but it feels more like West Coast Avengers than like Avengers feels like Avengers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, your guy Steve-O Rogers is in it.
Yes. Good. I like that. I like when he's involved.
Secret Empire, Steve
Hydra
Rogers.
Cap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Steve-O Rogers.
He's the new
great.
flag smasher. Yeah, I think Tony calls him Steve-O. Yeah.
Is this Duggan?
Yep.
Oh, I don't want to read it. Wow, all 3 of our winners here are fighting over the no prize.
Well, you know what? For being
Really?
all winners, you can all have it.
We've got no prizes to go around.
Which, if that doesn't help dictate the state of Marvel discussion we're having later on this week, I don't know what will.
Oh, goodness. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's been fun. It's been real. You guys win the poll, or the no's have it, I should say, in the Geiger poll 51% of you said no to should Geiger stay on the show. So unfortunately for Geiger, for the time being, that means we will stop reviewing it. The people have spoken, but be careful what you wish for. I'm telling you right now, because that Geiger spot might not go to some, scrappy indie book. And you might be praying for Geiger to return. And on that day,
Yeah.
I will look at you and say, no. The people have spoken.
Good.
Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, we are going to talk all about the big controversy. Creators are speaking out about comics and how upset they are with the pay, with the treatment, and everything else. We've got creator quotes. We've got our own thoughts. This is going to be a big conversation. So make sure you come for that Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Also, tomorrow, every Friday, we drop 2 videos. Some of you don't know that. Our videos tab. We drop 2 videos, one for the one for the channel members and one for the masses. So you guys will be seeing those both drop. So if you're a channel member, you'll be eating good. And if you're not, you'll be eating good too. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We will see you Saturday. Until then,